You made it JustProfessor here. You take risks without planning because you assume things will just be fine. You start something new without preparing for failure. You make big decisions without considering what could go wrong. You jump into situations telling yourself it will all work out. And when people warn you about the risks, you brush them off. You say things like, "It will be fine. I will figure it out. Everything happens for a reason." And you genuinely believe that. You feel confident. You feel optimistic. You feel like somehow you will land on your feet no matter what. But that confidence is not based on evidence. It is not based on preparation. It is based on a feeling. A feeling that the universe will protect you. That luck will favor you. That things always work out for people like you. And that feeling is lying to you. This is called optimism under uncertainty. And it is the reason you keep getting blindsided by reality. Here's how it works. When you face uncertainty, your brain has two options. It can prepare for problems. Or it can assume things will be fine, and most people choose the second option. Not because they have evidence, but because it feels better. Preparing for problems requires effort. It requires thinking about worst-case scenarios. It requires admitting that you might fail. And your brain does not want to do that. So instead, it creates a sense of false confidence. It tells you that everything will work out, that you are lucky, that you are different, and you believe it. Because believing it feels easier than facing the reality that you might be unprepared. This is why optimism under uncertainty is so dangerous. It is not real confidence. It is avoidance disguised as positivity. You are not being brave. You are being reckless. You are not being hopeful. You are being naive. And the difference is preparation. Real confidence comes from knowing you can handle what comes. False confidence comes from assuming nothing bad will come. Most people confuse optimism with wisdom. They think staying positive means they are strong. That refusing to worry means they are in control. But that is not strength. That is denial. And denial does not protect you. It just leaves you exposed. Think about what happens when you make a big decision without considering the risks. You quit your job without savings. You start a business without a plan. You move to a new place without researching it. You invest money without understanding the downside. And when people ask if you have thought it through, you say yes, but you have not. You have just convinced yourself it will work out. You tell yourself that successful people take risks. That fortune favors the bold. That you have to believe in yourself. And all of that sounds inspiring. But it is not a strategy. It is hope. And hope is not enough. Now compare that to someone who prepares. They also take risks. They also make bold moves, but they do it differently. They ask what could go wrong. They plan for failure. They create backup options. They build safety nets, and because of that, when problems come, they are ready. They do not panic. They do not fall apart. They adapt. Because they expected challenges, but you did not. You expected everything to work out. So when it does not, you are stunned, hurt, confused. You think, how did this happen? I was so sure, but you were not sure. You were just optimistic. And optimism, without preparation, is just wishful thinking. This is the trap. Optimism under uncertainty makes you feel good in the moment. It makes you feel confident. It makes you feel like you are living fully, like you are trusting the process. Like you are not being held back by fear. But you are not avoiding fear. You are avoiding reality. And reality does not care how optimistic you are. Think about how this shows up in smaller decisions too. You ignore symptoms because you assume you are fine. You do not check your finances because you assume it will balance out. You do not save for emergencies because you assume nothing bad will happen. You do not plan your time because you assume you will get it done. And most of the time, you get away with it. Most of the time, things do work out, okay? But not always. And when they do not, you are not ready. Because you never prepared. You just hoped. And here is the thing. When optimism under uncertainty fails, you do not learn. You just blame bad luck. You say, I could not have predicted that. No one saw it coming. It was out of my control. But it was not. You could have prepared. You could have considered the risks. You could have built contingencies. But you did not. Because your brain told you that worrying about problems is negative. That planning for failure is inviting failure. That believing things will work out is the same as making them work out. But it is not. Belief is not action. And action is what protects you. Now think about the difference between healthy optimism and this bias. Healthy optimism says, I believe I can succeed and I will prepare for challenges. Optimism under uncertainty says, I believe I will succeed, so I do not need to prepare. One is empowering. One is reckless. And most people do not see the difference. They think they are being positive, but they are being careless. This is what makes optimism under uncertainty so insidious. It feels like confidence. It feels like faith. It feels like trusting yourself, but it is not. It is avoiding the hard work of preparation. It is choosing comfort over readiness. And when reality proves you wrong, you act surprised. But you should not be. You just ignored the warning signs because acknowledging them felt too negative. This means optimism under uncertainty is not about being hopeful. It is about being unprepared. You are not preparing for failure because you think preparing for failure means expecting failure. But that is not true. Preparing for failure means you are smart enough to know that not everything goes according to plan. That challenges are normal, that setbacks happen. And that being ready for them does not make you pessimistic. It makes you responsible. But your brain does not want to do that work. It wants the easy path. The one where you just assume everything will be fine. Where you trust that things will work out. Where you believe that your good intentions will protect you. And sometimes that works, but not always. And when it does not, you pay the price. Not just in failure, but in the shock of failure. Because you never saw it coming. Because you never let yourself see it coming. So here's what you need to understand. Optimism is not a plan, it is a feeling. And feelings do not protect you from reality, only preparation does. You can be hopeful and still plan for problems. You can believe in yourself and still consider risks. You can take bold action and still build safety nets. Those things are not opposites, they are partners. And separating them is what gets you hurt. Optimism under uncertainty tells you that thinking about problems will create problems. But that is a lie. Thinking about problems prepares you for problems. Ignoring problems does not make them go away. It just makes you vulnerable when they show up. And they will show up because life is unpredictable. Because things do not always work out. Because hope is not a strategy. You do not need to become negative. You do not need to expect the worst, but you do need to prepare for it. You need to ask what could go wrong. You need to build backup plans. You need to stop assuming that everything will magically fall into place. Because it will not. Not without effort. Not without planning. Not without acknowledging that uncertainty means risk. And risk requires preparation. Stop confusing optimism with readiness. Stop thinking that worrying about problems makes you weak. Stop believing that positive thinking is the same as smart thinking. It is not. Positive thinking feels good. Smart thinking keeps you safe. And if you want to take risks without getting destroyed by them, you need both. Optimism under uncertainty makes you reckless. Real confidence makes you prepared. Know the difference. Subscribe if you want to see how your brain tricks you into making bad decisions.